Hello. In this episode, we're going to make some dehydrated venison jerky. We're going to take the backstrap out of my son's first ever buck, marinate it in some Worcestershire sauce, which is always fun to say, some liquid smoke soy sauce, some brown sugar, and some spices. And marinate it overnight. Throw it on the dehydrator and see what we come up with. Thanks for watching. All right, so this evening what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some venison jerky marinade. And what I have in the tray here, I'll drain all the blood off, that's important to do, but I have a backstrap from a deer that my son shot this year, a buck, and we like to eat does and young deer and then turn the bucks into things like ring bologna, Polish sausage, hot dogs. And then you can kind of see I have an older back strap that we pulled out of the freezer, different color for sure compared to this fresh one. There's one of those on each side. And I'm just gonna pan over to what we're gonna use for the marinade. And the marinade is primarily gonna be your Worcestershire, I think I said that right, liquid smoke, garlic, onion powder. I'm gonna throw some black pepper in there, some of this seasoning that I got at a sports show just because we haven't really used it for anything else. It's good stuff, just haven't used it for anything else. And then another thing that I do is I take my recipe, create a Google Doc, and then just do all my conversions right here on the laptop so I can leave it open. And I'll share this in the description. But basically, this is for 1 pound, and I'm doing 8 pounds. And then if you look where the cursor is right now, I'm also gonna add some brown sugar because I like that salty sweet. It's the first attempt at making this, and so then what you have with this Google Doc is you can change it and then update it, and you can even do different derivations off of it by just changing the title and making a copy and changing the title. So pan back over here to the ingredients. Liquid smoke, so it has some of that smoke flavor, pepper for some of that kick. And then one more shot of the meat. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the meat all cross grain and then put it in a bowl, cover it up, and then marinate it overnight. All right, so one of the things I'm gonna do with this stuff is I'm gonna cut this a little thicker, so I'm actually gonna butterfly it. So I cut it almost all the way through, fold it over, and then cut it again. And then you get a piece, just one piece like this. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to deal with so many small pieces. And so I know this is a little thicker. I want a little bit of chewiness, a little bit of texture and meat to the jerky. So that's why I'm butterflying most of the pieces. So you can kind of see about how thick they are. So here's the butterflying process from a different angle. I'm recording this myself, and I'm not setting up a tripod for this. So these 3 pieces have been butterflied, and then I do push them down in the middle a little bit. And then here's the start of a butterfly. So your first cut, you go almost all the way through, and then on this next cut, I go all the way through, and then I smush it down on the seam, and that's what you end up with. I did mention this is backstrap. This is some good meat. It's nice and tender, and maybe you're asking, why backstrap? But our family eats and shoots a lot of deer, and we save eating the steaks and tenderloins for the does, and then the immature deer. And this was a mature buck, or maybe a mature buck and a half. And so we're trying this to feed all the hungry mouths here. All right, so here is 8 pounds of organic goodness. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to add the marinade and then clean up. And then when I'm done cleaning up, I'm going to stir the marinade at least once and then put it on the dehydrator in the morning. I forgot to mention aiming for 1/4 inch pieces, but then varied the thickness substantially down to 1/8 of an inch probably even on some of these cuts, and then obviously some smaller non-butterfly pieces as well. So I'll be adding everything together, taking another quick take, covering it up, throwing it in the fridge, stirring it before I put it in the fridge, and then stirring it again before I go to bed. I already can tell this is probably gonna be a double batch, and I do worry about how strong the salt will get in the second batch, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, just a little shot of the spices pre-mixed, and I think I put probably half a cup of brown sugar in there, and then I couldn't help myself. I threw some chili powder in. Learning experience, I would probably not do 8 pounds of venison for a couple reasons. One, liquid smoke, which by the way, that'd have been a dang good blooper video trying to get that thing open. 3/4 of a cup is all you get in there. So I went with the full thing of liquid smoke. I had about just over a cup of soy sauce, so I threw that all in there, and just about a cup of Worcestershire sauce as well. So I went off the amounts quite a bit. You know, I still pulled up the MacBook to look at the amounts, but I really don't think it's gonna matter. The meat's all gonna be covered, and if anything else, it'll make things a little less salty. And we'll just kind of go from there. So mix this up, one more shot, cover it up, and then mix it again before bed. All right, so here we have the Veni on the rack. You can kind of see what's left of the marinade. And what I do is I did push this down, made it nice and flat because I figure that's a good thing. You can kind of see the butterfly there, which didn't get quite as much marinade on it. I think that'll be fine. Here is the dehydrator, is gonna call it smoker. All these racks are full. This is my daughter's dehydrator, but man, she holds a lot of meat. So we almost got all 8 pounds in there. I think 7 would have actually worked just fine. So I'm gonna set it and forget it. Okay, so I just took the jerky out. It was in about 10.5 hours. It's just how long it is for me to go between leaving and coming back from work. You know, it's like probably a lot of you got the commute and stuff. I gotta tell you, this stuff is phenomenal. I can't believe I nailed it on the first try. I will say that I personally like the thicker cuts myself. They just have a little bit more chewiness, more meat to them. And I think that the salt is just right. It's not too salty, like where you're leaving like, oh my gosh, I can't hardly even eat this. Sweet is perfect too, so that brown sugar was good. I personally would do a little bit more heat, you know, something like pepper flakes or, you know, cayenne pepper powder or something. But overall, this is gonna be a family hit, I guarantee it. I mean, I actually wanted to record this a little sooner, but I couldn't stop eating. So I'll give this a 9 out of 10 probably, or you know, maybe even higher. And it's just one more way to enjoy nature's bounty. So I am super, super excited to do this again. And we have a holiday hunt coming up right now, which is for does only. And we tend to just turn the does in the ground. And maybe if I get one of those big old tattletale does, we might have to dehydrate her too. So thanks for watching this episode. I hope you try this recipe, and I hope you make comments and suggestions and share this with other people and help me build my channel. So thank you very much for watching, and bon appetit.